The purpose of this conversation is to bring awareness to the image aspect of your personal brand as a professional and overall as a person as well. How an individual appears on social media and offline creates a perception for their target audience. Keen attention to detail as to the content, the dressing, the overall grooming is all very necessary. Uh, this will enable you to maximize results and the efficiency of your time and efforts which you have invested towards your projects. Why not get more for the same effort? That is my question for all of you. Uh, Today's guest dedicates to optimizing the personal brand for individuals, which helps a lot to get better opportunities, better prospects, connect with better people, and even get a better paycheck for the next project. Clothing, communication skills, content. She has the ability to transform her clients from head to toe. Let us welcome image consultant, soft skills uh, trainer, and personal shopper, Dhara Pabari. Welcome.
Thank you so much for such a lovely introduction, Krishiv. It really means a lot. And hello, everyone. I hope you liked today's session.
Yes, uh, for sure. Uh, Dhara, let's start with the topic. What I personally see is that there's a major gap in the market when it comes to grooming.
Yes.
Now, I've been traveling all across Mumbai, in fact, all across the country, from the south to the north. And there is one thing that I have noticed that is common with most people. When I say most people that I have personally met and seen, the percentages 90, 95, or probably even more, that people lack basic groom.
Yes.
It's all, just wear a shirt and you just you know go just do whatever you feel like, and that often uh you know gives out a wrong impression. How many times have we met some really smart and intelligent people who don't look like one, right? Would you
Yes. So basically,
uh, story?
sure. Yes. So basically, when it comes to having an understanding of first impressions, when it comes to whether it's your professional life, your personal life, or your social life, when you meet somebody for the first time, they form an impression about you from the very beginning. They form an impression just by initial 5 seconds or 10 seconds of meeting that person. That impression is formed purely by the way you present yourself, the way you carry yourself. So you might be, when you mentioned the gap, so you might be the most talented person, you might be the most, experienced person, you might be the most educated person. You might have all the qualifications possible. But when it comes to making first impressions, that's where I see that there is a lot of gap which you can notice. That gap is being there because of majorly that your image in terms of your presence is not syncing with your qualifications, your professional experience, your all your talents which you portray as a person, right? So the gap is where you communicate well, you can make that first impression impactful. The way you carry yourself, the way you present yourself when you're meeting somebody for the first time. Say, for example, you are meeting, you are at a social, you are at a social networking event, for example. You are there to present yourself, right? And in the room full of people, you need to make your mark. You need to be noticed. How are you going to make sure that you're going to do that? All that happens when you are immediately going to be able to make that first impression count, right? So the way you're dressing yourself, the way you're carrying what you're wearing, your body language, your postures, your gestures, your expressions, somebody has to feel comfortable in your presence, right? Say, for example, if I'm coming randomly, you don't know me as a person, and I'm coming and greeting you, I'm taking that initiative of a handshake. I'm trying, before even uttering a word, I am actually communicating with you in a non-verbal format. How would you feel trustworthy when you're meeting somebody? How would you really feel that, okay, yeah, yes, I can have a conversation with this person, initial conversation with this person, right? You attract a lot of opportunities and are able to do all these things,
Yes, and
right?
yes, and I feel that if we know how to present, not just in terms of uh, dressing, but also in terms of communication, in terms of the way
Absolutely.
we behave, uh, all of these small things make a big, big, big difference, and especially when you got a very big breakthrough opportunity, you want to not lose out just because your clothes or the way you spoke was not up to the mark. So let us now dig
Yes, true.
into the importance and impact of proper grooming in terms of soft skills, clothing, and general etiquette, which we call it as
Sure.
mannerisms. Uh, how to blend all three
Sure.
to start keeping things in your own favor, your own favor.
Sure. All right. Great. So basically, when I say your first impressions, first impressions are made 93% is non-verbal communication, right? Non-verbal communication would include all that you just mentioned, which is appearance, the way you appear, what you're wearing, right? So that is a major part of your presence, right? And the second part is your behavior. Behavior means etiquette. When it comes to etiquette, it just simply means that you need to respect the other person to whom you are having the conversation, right? So behavior is an aspect of respect, all right. And the third part is the communication skills. So the communication skills can be through body language, it can be through verbal communication, it can be through your initial way of greeting somebody. It's a lot of different factors depending on the context where you're meeting and how you're meeting, right? So when it comes to any professional around the world, any entrepreneur around the world, or any kind of person who even socially wants to create an impactful image of themselves, right? They need to just make sure about these three things for the initial first impression. First is when I say appearance. When I say A means appearance. Appearance may you need to just make sure that the way you are presenting yourself, you need to be congruent with your personality. Say, for example, there is something trending, some outfit is trending on social media, but it is just completely against your personality. For example, if it's a doctor would like to try a new trend which is going on Instagram by some blogger, following some blogger, and wants to try that out in their professional space, for example. But it doesn't really represent their value of being a doctor, doesn't really show that, their personality as a doctor. So along with following the trend, they also need to keep in mind their own personality, their own personal style into picture, so that they are able to present their best version when it comes to dressing up, right? Say certain things which makes you level up in your dressing. You are a very experienced professional, right? So you need to look that experienced by your dressing as well. You need to know how to create your own personal style, and that should include, you can communicate authenticity through your clothing. You can communicate that you are pretty trustworthy through clothing. We take an example of our prime minister currently. So the way he dresses up sharp, he really has a congruence in his dressing, which showcases his, authenticity, showcases his personality. He has created a style statement for himself, right? So similarly, any individual, you take up any personality, famous entrepreneur, famous businessman, businesswoman, or any kind of professional all across the world, they would always have that style statement which they create for themselves, right? So that's the very first aspect every individual should understand. The second thing is their behavior. No matter whom you are communicating with, you need to communicate with respect. That is extremely important, right? In whether you are communicating to like a fresher and you are a very experienced person, still you need to give equal amount of respect to the person who is either your senior or your junior or at par. Doesn't matter, right? When you show the respect, it says a lot about you. And when I say respect, it's not just in terms of words, it's also in terms of your actions, your behavior. When I say behavior, see, for example, simple things like when you're greeting somebody, how to make a formal handshake with someone, or say how to really introduce somebody, or for example, when you are greeting somebody, if you are sitting at a place and a person is standing and coming to greet you, make sure that you stand and you are at par and you're greeting the person. You're not sitting and greeting the person. You have to stand and greet the person. So, these are very small, small things which are there in behavioral aspects, but they are very important when you have to make an impression in terms of your presence, your personal brand, right? So that's why it is extremely important that your behavior should be something congruent with your personality, right? As well. The third aspect is communication. Now, communication can be through your body language, your gestures. Try to have more open gestures in terms of your communication, whether it's your hand gestures. Try to have a smile on your face. Try to make sure that you are showing your genuineness through your communication, right? First comes the body language and then comes the words, right? As they say, the sound travels faster, right? So when you are speaking, your voice modulation matters. If I am monotone like this in the conversation, would you lose interest or would you keep on talking to me, right? No, right? So when I'm having a modulation in my voice, when I'm having a certain tone of voice, people will be interested to talk to me, know more about me. When I'm emphasizing on certain words, I am pausing between conversations, I'm using hand gestures to describe certain things. When I'm having a conversation with someone, that makes the conversation very interesting, isn't it? So all these aspects, when I say ABC of communication, appearance, behavior, and the communication skills, they all become a very important part of your personal brand, your personality, your identity when you are presenting yourself in your professional and social spaces. Yeah.
Thank God you are not speaking in a very monotonous way, because otherwise this would become a very boring interaction for me. Forget the audience.
Yes.
And I've got one small tip for the audience non from a non image consultant, that if your hands are wet or your hands are dirty, please do not shake
Yes.
hands.
Do
Just
not.
do this, because it's very
Don't even do
very
that.
strange.
Just do
I mean, you can do this. Yeah,
namaste.
yeah. I mean, you can actually do this. But sometimes I meet people at other networking events, and the minute they shake your hand, I just realize, oh my God, your hand is wet. Now, either that is sweat, or maybe that is you've had something.
Water, anything.
Yeah, maybe you maybe you had a salad or a fruit. Now your hand is wet. So why did you shake hands? Because now my hand is also wet. So that's
Correct.
it's a small tip, but remember, these small things make a big uh difference.
So true.
Would you like to share any transformation story and any final thoughts for this session?
Sure. Absolutely, for sure. So in my last 8 years of my consulting, I have consulted a lot of different types of entrepreneurs, professionals, and all success stories have always been like, it's always a journey for me as well as a consultant. And I love the whole process when I guide them on appearance, behavior, and grooming and etiquette. The biggest success story, one of my clients I would like to share with all of you, is that one of my client who is a working professional, and she was pretty decent in her job. There was nothing as such that was missing when it came to her experience, her skill sets, her knowledge, and her talents. There was nothing missing in that sorts, right? But when it came to her appearance, she came across as a very soft spoken person. When you would meet her that, oh, she's so sweet, she's such a sweet lady. She looks pretty delicate in her aesthetics, her whether it's her the way she appears or the way she speaks. She was very soft as a person, and she's basically in her mid 40s. Okay, so what happened is she used to face issues when it came to getting promotions in her job. At the same time, she used to face issues when it came to people taking her seriously, right? Say a soft-spoken person, sometimes they are so good that sometimes people tend to take them lightly, right? It's not the case. They also have some leadership qualities which are to be explored, right? So I helped her discover those things. I helped her wherein I guided her how to sharpen her voice, how to sharpen her postures, be more confident with the postures. I helped her through everything in terms of her communication skills, even her dressing. Made sure that she dressed sharply, her hairstyle, her jewelry, her what she was wearing. All these things summed up together in the span of 12 weeks with her, she had a major transformation process wherein she not just got like a higher level of position in her job, in a better work culture. At the same time, she also like was so happy that she was able to be much more confident in her skin, and she had a whole balanced approach in terms of her personality. People started taking her with some seriousness, and she could stand out in a professional world, which was like a very lovely success story. And I really loved that transformation of hers, and I have many more transformations, but since we don't have much time, limiting it to just one transformative story for you.
Sure, and yeah, let's do another session where we only talk about transformation when it comes to your
Sure. Would
uh
definitely love to do that.
yeah, when it comes to passion, communication, and the third one was mannerisms and etiquettes. Thank you so much. There's a lot that I have personally learned from this conversation. Personally, my style nowadays is to keep things very, very simple yet sophisticated. So yeah, thank you
Yes.
so much, and we look forward to another such a exciting and transforming conversation.
Thank you so much for inviting me to this platform. It really means a lot to discuss this whole topic with you and the audience. Thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure, guiding through the process of personal branding and image consulting through the whole process. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thanks.